Regardless of what their intentions are, these notorious African warlords have spread terror across the continent and caused the murder of thousands of people, if not millions of Africans combined. Some were leaders of their countries, others fought to achieve power, while some others perpetrated violence without any agenda to seize power. In this edition on Hisple Media, we bring to your view 10 most notorious and brutal African warlords of all time. The list is in no particular order, but number 1 seems to be the most notorious and cruel warlord to ever come out of the continent of Africa. So, we begin at number 10. Jean-bédel Bokassa, Central African Republic, CAR. Jean-bédel Bokassa, born on the 22nd of February 1921, is one of the modern African warlords who were ruthless from the start. Before rising to power, Bokassa was a soldier in the French Equatorial Army. After he killed his cousin in a coup in 1965, Bokassa became the autocrat leader of the Central African Republic and emperor of its successor state, the Central African Empire, in 1966. Soon after, he was named the Butcher of Bangui. Even though it is not clear the number of citizens he murdered, Bokassa was personally behind the massacre of 100 school children because they could not afford to purchase expensive school uniform bearing his emblem. In addition, Bokassa was also accused of feeding on human flesh. Besides murder and human rights violations, Bokassa was accused of bringing his country, the Central African Republic, to bankruptcy after using 1/3 of the country's revenue for his exorbitant coronation event. The event was believed to have cost a whopping $20 million at the time. In 1972, Bokassa appointed himself president for life and an emperor in 1976. In 1979, Bokassa was outed to exile following his orders to have civilians murdered by his troops, as well as his act of caning small children during the protest. By the way, remember you can now support our work on this channel by becoming a channel member in exchange for exclusive perks such as faster reply to comments, early access to videos, and much more. You can equally buy us a super thanks by clicking the thanks button underneath this video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Hisple Media as well. Thank you. At number 9, Umar Hassan Ahmad al-Bashir, Sudan. Umar al-Bashir was born on the 1st of January 1944 in Hoj Bananga, a village on the outskirts of Shendi, just north of Sudanese capital Khartoum. He remains the first president in office to be tried and sentenced for heinous acts like rape, mass murder, and violent robbing. Umar al-Bashir was elected into power in 1989 as the leader of Sudan before its division into North and South Sudan. In addition to numerous atrocities to his name, Umar al-Bashir embezzled the country's funds to aid extremist activities. In 2019, this ruthless dictator was finally defeated in a coup. Umar was then arrested, tried, and convicted for several atrocities against humanity. At number 8, Joshua Milton Blahi, Liberia. Joshua Milton Blahi, nicknamed the General Butt Naked, was born on the 30th of September 1971 in Monrovia into a crown family, some of whom resided in Seno County, located in the south of Liberia. He was one of the feared African generals during the First Liberian Civil War that occurred in the early 90s. Joshua would go into battles naked, wearing nothing but shoes, hence his nickname General Butt Naked. According to him, showing up to war naked made him feel invincible. Joshua Blahi asserted in 2008 that he had murdered nearly 20,000 people, conducted frequent human sacrifices, and ate children. Later on, the African warlord converted to Christianity, and the former most evil man in the world is currently a leader of his Christian ministry. He has denounced his old inhuman ways and now preaches peace and love in Liberia. At number 7, Thomas Lubanga Diallo, Congo. Thomas Lubanga was born on the 29th of December 1960 in Jiba, in the Ituri province of the Republic of Congo. He is of the Hema Gegere ethnic group and held a degree in psychology from the University of Kisangani. Thomas established a union of Congolese patriots, the UPC, which fought to control gold reserves in the DRC and was a key player in the Ituri conflicts. On the 17th of March 2006, Lubanga became the first person arrested under a warrant issued by the International Criminal Court and has since then been convicted by the International Criminal Court. His crimes include recruiting child soldiers, murder, rape, ethnic massacres of over 60,000 corpses, mutilation, torture, among other human rights violations. At number 6, Bosco Ntaganda, Rwanda. Bosco Ntaganda was born on November 5, 1973 in a small town of Kinigi, situated in the foothills of Rwanda's Virunga mountain range in the Musanze district. Ntaganda, also known as the Terminator, was more of a warlord for ends. He helped in overthrowing the Hutu-led government and then moved to Congo to help in overthrowing the government after being made the head of the military in DRC. He is responsible for about 800,000 dead in total and many other human rights violations including rape, murder, recruitment of child soldiers and sexual slavery of civilians. He was also convicted on 8 counts on the 18th of July 2009 and was sentenced to 30 years in prison by the International Criminal Court. At number 5, Nasembe Eyadema, Togo. Nasembe Eyadema, born on the 26th of December 1935 from Togo, is another longest-serving African warlord who was in power for close to 38 years. The dictator phase rose to power in 1967 following a fatal takeover. As no one could overpower him, it took death to finally remove him from power. Eyadema died in 2005 following a cardiac arrest. His son, Foreign Nasembe Eyadema, succeeded the absolute leader in a non-democratic twist. Having left a bad historical name, it is surprising that some other African countries still followed in this tyrant's footprints. At number 4, Jean Kabenda, Rwanda. Jean Kabenda, born October 19, 1955, is one of the most evil African warlords to have ever walked on this continent. He was responsible for the Rwandan genocide that saw over 800,000 people killed. The civil engineer was appointed the prime minister in the caretaker government of Rwanda on the onset of genocide in 1994 and was the leader during the 100 days of Tutsis and Hutu civil war. Jean was apprehended in Nairobi on the 18th of July 1997 and was handed over to the International Criminal Court Tribunal in Rwanda. He was accused of aiding manslaughter by giving out small arms and ammunition to individuals in Gitarama and Butare while knowing very well that the weapons would be used to murder innocent citizens. Jean Kabanda is the only African dictator to confess guilty of mass murder. At number 3, Charles Taylor, Liberia. Charles MacArthur Taylor was born on the 28th of January 1948 in Arlington, a town near the Liberian capital Monrovia. He is among the African dictators with the highest count of massacred people. In 1989, Mr. Taylor was in charge of the National Patriotic Front of Liberia, a rebel group based in Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, which invaded and killed more than 200,000 Liberians in a civil war that lasted for 7 years. Charles Taylor was elected as the president of Liberia in 1997 following the end of the war, as he threatened to resume violence if he was not elected. His famous campaign slogan was, "He killed my man, he killed my pa, but I will vote for him." Even before coming into power, the African tyrant was involved in numerous heinous acts. For instance, he was detained and charged in the United States with corruption charges in 1985. Charles Taylor was finally overthrown in 2003 following a second civil war. He is currently being held at Haitian prison Franklin for all the crimes against humanity that he committed. At number 2, Joseph Rao Kony, Uganda. Joseph Kony was likely born sometime in 1961 and he is another autocrat that has brought a lot of suffering to Ugandans and its neighboring countries. Kony leads the Lord's Resistance Army, a rebel group allegedly formed to fight government oppression. Later on, the Lord's Resistance Army turned against its own people and began to perpetrate ethnic cleansing of the acolytes by murdering nearly 1,000 people weekly. Joseph considers himself the spokesman of God and a spirit medium. The African warlord claims that he gets visits from 13 international spirits, including a Chinese phantom. Under his rule, Joseph Kony ordered the kidnapping of children to be recruited as child soldiers and sex slaves. Over 66,000 children were recruited as child soldiers, while 2 million people were displaced in their own country from 1986 to 2009. At number 1, Idi Amin Dada, Uganda. Idi Amin Dada Omi was born around 17th May 1925 near Koboko in the western Nile province of what is now the Republic of Uganda. He came to power in 1971 following a military coup d'etat. Before this time, Idi Amin was a commander in the Ugandan army. He ruled Uganda for 8 years, during which time he earned the nickname the Butcher of Uganda, following his brutal ways. Many people believe he was a cannibal. In 1977, the United Kingdom decided to close its Ugandan embassy following his atrocities to his own people. As a result, the dictator declared that he had single-handedly defeated the British Empire in his country. Under his leadership, Amin was responsible for various inhuman acts, corruption, and murders. It is estimated that nearly 300,000 individuals lost their lives under his authority. In 1979, good news finally came to the people of Uganda when he was ousted from office in the military coup. The warlords later met his demise at the age of 78 years while exiled in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. If you would like to know the rebel groups led by some of these warlords to perpetrate havoc in the continent, click this video here. And if you believe anyone else deserves to be mentioned here, let us know in the comment section. But don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Hisple Media for more interesting African history stories. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.